It's not like he never really made a dent into the scene. Again, that's why I would have rated him slightly higher than some of those other up and coming Korean players, but yeah, did step away. Now has stepped back in, and spawning in the top right hand corner of Alkyone, we have our South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is SHIN. I'll fix up the name. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player. The blue Protoss, it is Ordinary. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It's time to get your gamba going, as predictions are now open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series, on who you think will advance on into the semifinals. Here we go. Again, I was fully expecting this to be a rematch between SHIN and Trap. I was ready for a rematch. I was ready to see SHIN and Trap again. Alas, Ordinary did deny that, did shut Trap down, but now he's up against the beast that is SHIN. We're going for the gold. SHIN is a very aggressive, very chaotic player. He's always in your face. It was last week where we actually casted SHIN in a best of 5 versus MaxPax, and SHIN actually defeated MaxPax in that best of 5. It was in the grand finals of the Wardy TV Monday Cup. I do recommend the VODs. It was a lot of fun. And fun fact, it went all the way to the ace match. And how did SHIN defeat MaxPax in that ace match? 12 full drone pool. SHIN, he cheesed the hell out of MaxPax in that series. Like, game after game after game, like constant gold bases and just all-ins off of 2 bases, off of 3 bases. And again, the series ended in a 12 pool drone pool. It was just like such a great way to end the series as well, and to shut MaxPax down. But now, of course, fresh series, gold base, Maynarding over, and Ordinary does spot the Maynard. He does spot all the drones. Ordinary is aware of the gold. He is aware of the gold base. And we'll see if Ordinary can punish said gold. It's not too easy. You can do so with Adepts, for example, with Oracles as well. SHIN is going to be very split apart. He's going to be very spread thin between his gold and his main, or his main and I guess his quote-unquote natural base. We'll see if Ordinary can abuse that, as it is going to be a Stargate opener here from the Protoss. Back at home, just getting into our queens, droning on up, saturating our bases. This usually leads into a Roach all-in. Usually this leads into additional gases being taken, earlier Roach Warren, into like a 2 or 3 base all-in from the side of SHIN, if he can get this gold base fully operational. Ling Flood's also possible as well for SHIN, like a Ling Bane Bust. There's going to be a lot available to him. So Ordinary does move out. The depths are being active. And you can see him, instead of threatening the gold base, he does send his adepts towards the main. As we mentioned before, there's a lot of, like, SHIN is spread quite thin between both bases. Just have 1 queen and 4 lings here in the main. Adepts do commit, but more lings, they pop out just in time. Ling Speed kicks in as well, and SHIN will lock down these Adepts. They do not get into the mineral line. Yeah, the drones, they are kept safe and sound. They do survive. Get a very clutch defense there out of SHIN. Oracle dips into the gold. Spore's ready. Oracle gets turned away, and SHIN is holding. SHIN is holding, does get away with the gold base. Lings are moving out, and these Lings, they shouldn't break into the natural, but they are denying the third. They're containing the Protoss to 2 bases for as long as possible. Speaking of, Probe is moving out, 3rd base is now being taken, and we'll see if SHIN can punish it, or deny it, I should say. 3rd base out on the way. Now, thankfully, the Oracle is staying back at home, so these Lings shouldn't get much done. They do force the activation of the Pulsar Beam, so they're wasting energy on the Oracle. Behind this, SHIN is still droning, still saturating. The creep is slowly spreading towards the bases here of Ordinary. Slowly encroaching the bases even. Back at home, we do have a Robo follow-up. Interesting choice here by Ordinary. Usually we see, you know, Forge and Twilight Council +1 and Blink. With this Robo instead, this can lead into earlier Immortal production. It looks like Ordinary is maybe anticipating Roach aggression. As we can see though, that's 24 Lings on the way. that's a lot of Lings, Pack. That's a lot of Lings. Stasis trap here in the main. Oh! Not quite catching many workers. 2 drones do get caught out. And you can see Shin is getting ready for a Ling Queen all-in. Immortals, they're not going to help too much against this kind of army. They help against Roaches, less so against Ling Queen. And Lings, they've already arrived. They're going for the shield battery. Overcharge gets popped. So far, we do deny service area on the shield battery. Nice force field. But the Queens have arrived. Overcharge about to run out. And again, the robo production looks to be a little bit too little too late. As Lings are breaking through, shield battery goes down. Again, nice force fields, buying time. We do recall back home, or recall out of the third into the natural. Yeah, Ordinary forced to abandon the expansion, and the third base should fall. Ordinary does try to contest it, but it has to be so careful not to be surrounded. Oh no! He wants to surround! Shit, he wants it. Doesn't quite get it. Gets the expansion. Ooh. Is forced to engage. And does get the surround off. Sentry's going down. Adepts as well. Yeah, just a brutal trade here for Ordinary. Did overextend. And Ordinary is going to be able to hold on to 2 bases, but he lost so many sentries. So many sentries just went down. Behind this, Shin re-droning. Getting into Ling. Hydro does catch all the Queens. Not bad. The Queens are cleaned up. That's not insignificant. But the problem here is that Ordinary's stuck. Ordinary's stuck on this 3-base setup. He has to try to move out. Shin hasn't been droning too much behind this, but he has the goal base, so despite the lower worker count for Shin, his economy is actually greater than it looks. Lair is done. Hydra just now finishing. Hydra upgrades on the way. Shin working towards Ling Hydra. Meanwhile, Ordinary is trying to reestablish his expansion. He's holding on. Does preserve his Immortals. Bay is on the way. That's going to be for Colossus. If we can get into 1, maybe 2 Colossus, then Ordinary can hold. He can force a longer game. And again, Shin is not droning. Like, he's making the decision here. Shin, I mean, it is Shin. Like, he's hyper aggressive, but he's making the decision here not to drone. Stasis in the main. Stasis goes off. Catches off the mineral line. Hydras are popping out. And if Shin doesn't trade well with this Ling Hydra army, these Hydras and all these Lings, a good half of them could have been drones. Could have been workers, could have been a faster 4th base, could have been a double expand into Hive Tech. Shin could have been focusing on his economy, but he didn't. And as a result, he's going to be in a bit of a tough position here. There we go. Shin once again looking for the surround. Trying to bait out the army. Ooh, Disruptor first. That's a bold move here by Ordinary. Going for the Disruptor before the Colossus. Again, Ordinary, he doesn't know. At the time, he didn't know that it was going to be a Hydra follow-up. Disruptors would have been ideal against Roach Ravager. Archons are on the way. Lings, they get eyes on the would-be 4th. They deny. Prism getting across the map, not bad. Scouting the tech. Catching up some Queens. Another warping into the main. Shin, he's racing back home. Yeah, he turns everything around. These are slow lots, by the way. The slow lots, they're popping off. They're getting a lot of drones. Mate, who needs charge? Who needs speed? Nah. They need it back. 4 worker kills and the entire army does come back home. Prism, still in the main, still in the corner of the map. Can threaten once again. And Ordinary does have a 4th on the way. Now, holding on to this 4th is easier said than done. Shin still has a massive army. And Ordinary does confirm it with Hallucination. I would still love either Colossus or Storm or both. We still have more Disruptors on the way, which is quite risky. Very high risk, high reward here for Ordinary. I mean, if they connect, it's gonna be worth it. But against a more mobile army like Ling Hydra, it's hardest to make that happen. Hey, the side defense is done. Shield batteries, cannons as well. SHIN, he misses the 4th base. He scouts the right-hand side. He's only now checking. And now it's too late. The base is up and running. There's an overcharge available as well. And SHIN, he did miss the expansion for a little bit too long. Knocking down the rooks. SHIN trying to wedge himself in between the armies. Hallucination will confirm. Ordinary building up. Denying the 5th base. Charge, this time it's done. The expansion is going to be denied. Can we force a cancel? Up! It's going to be close. We can. There you go. The cancel is forced. Prism gets away. Interesting. Now, I just assumed, because of Ling Hydra, I assumed it was going to be Lurker, but no, we're taking up into Ultras instead. Ultra Cavern on the way. SHIN has been able to drone up quite nicely. Ooh, and Ordinary is pushing deep onto Creep. Calm down, Ordinary. Calm down. Get out of here. Nice force fields. Catching out a lot of Lings. Catching out a Queen as well. Ordinary rotating around. Meanwhile, at the same time, Zealot warping across the map. That one Warp Prism still wreaking havoc. Getting out. Oops, getting 7. And drone kills the Prism. Finally went down. And Ordinary. That creep that was once here. Most of it is receding. Clearing up a lot of tumors. Ordinary, he's holding his own. Sky Toss is on the way. Stake and Stargate. Fleet Beacon as well. Let's go, man. Never goes off. Oh no! Oh my god. Catches one Hydra. Could have been so much worse. One Hydra goes down. Zealot by on the way, but SHIN does get eyes on it. We'll shut it down. And it still feels like Ordinary's playing with fire. Like, we're still being very active with this army. I mean, I shouldn't feel too concerned for Ordinary because of the sentries. We saw it earlier, but force fields are so amazing in this kind of army composition just because there's no Ravagers, right? If it was Roach Ravager, then force fields can be dealt with. Lingbane Hydra, less so. So force fields can slice up this army quite nicely. I mean, that's what the Ultras are going to be for. Ultras are on the way. Kind of spading is now done. Meanwhile, that Prism slipping into the main. SHIN is ready for it. This time SHIN is prepared. SHIN almost committing. Skyjust production has begun. 2 carriers on the way. Again, Ordinary needs a little bit more time. Once again, getting very adventurous with his army. SHIN setting up a surround coming in from behind. He's committing. Never's going up. Some okay connections. Nice force fields. Yeah, the force fields do by. Oh no! Oh, massive Novas. Hydras are falling. But alas, Ordinary has to back off. He has to pull back, pull away. SHIN is maxed. Again, it was only one Ultra to break the force fields. He's pushing in. Decent split. 3 Hydras go down. A Mothership has arrived. The surround comes in. And SHIN gets caught out. He has overextended. And Ordinary, he's snowballing out of control. Here comes the move out. Now with carriers, with a Mothership, with Mass Archon. And SHIN, what does he have left? He's got 4 Ultras. 4 Ultras on the way. Lings as well. Spire just began. SHIN was not ready for Sky Toss. He's not ready for this army. Yeah, the Ultras are going to melt here against the Archons and the Immortals. You do have a massive Ling counterattack. Trying to pull away the Protoss. But Ordinary, it looks like he should have done it from here. Hydras are trying to hold their own. Ultras are going down. Yeah, the Hydras, against this kind of army, they just melt so quick. The Hydras, they do nothing. SHIN trying to stutter step back. GG gets called. There's nothing left. In Ordinary, he brings it back, taking game number 1. GG. Let's go. GG, well played, Ordinary. Despite losing his 3rd base, we mentioned it at the time, SHIN was a little bit too aggressive. We spoke about it, how despite SHIN shutting down the 3rd base, killing the 3rd, and containing his opponent on 2 bases, SHIN wasn't droning. He made the decision not to, right? He made the decision not to drone, not to saturate his bases, not to rush into a 4th, a 5th, not to tech up. To be fair, I do think that part of that may also be because SHIN was maybe expecting an all-in. Like, after he killed the 3rd base, the chances of there being an all-in as a follow-up, I mean, it makes sense. Does make sense. As we saw, though, it was anything but. There was no 2-base all-in. Instead, Ordinary, he was able to turtle up, take his fourth base, take his third base, slowly establish it, take a fourth as well. If you remember, another pivotal moment was when Shin was scouting for the fourth, and he missed it. Remember, Shin, he kept checking the southern location for the fourth base, and he took a little bit longer to check the northern location. By the time he did, the cannons and the shield batteries were done. So the fourth was established, and Shin couldn't delay it any further. So there were a couple of like key moments here and there where Shin wasn't quite able to slow down his Protoss opponent, slow down Ordinary, and Ordinary did snowball out of control. GG. GG, well played. And now we're getting into game number 2, and spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have, once again, the favorite player in this series. Trap was favored as well, but they both ended up falling, and does it happen again? We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is Shin. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Protoss player from land of South Korea. It is Ordinary. Here we go. One moment, just setting up our colors. Love to see it. Here we go. As we are going to be settling in. Ordinary opening up with a standard opener, gate expand. Meanwhile, Shin is not going to be tempted for the gold, and I don't think that was I don't think the gold base was a bad choice there by Shin. Shin, he achieved a lot with it. Remember, it was a better start for Shin, where he was able to not just kill the third base of Ordinary, but also catch so many sentries. He traded well, did trade quite nicely. Some of the things that worked against Shin was he got all of his queens caught, so the queen count was reset, and as we mentioned in the aftermath, Shin took him a long time to drone up. Took him a long time to take a fourth base, to saturate a fourth base as well, to get into his economy, and Shin was punished for it. He was punished, and we'll see if he can tighten things up here and maybe have a little bit more of a macro kind of outlook here in game number 2. We'll see, because Shin can macro. Like, he's hyper aggressive, yes, when he wants to be, but doesn't mean he can't, you know, play out a standard game if he needs to. He can. Here we go. Yo, a shout out to Rowdy in the chat. It's been a while since I've seen you in the chat, Bobby. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, Rowdy. Este Rowdy. Don't get too rowdy. As we have our Stargate opener in the main, as to be expected. Just a Stargate play here out of Ordinary. Likewise, Shin pulling back, just getting into his third, joining up. So far, everything's looking as it should, but I should reiterate as well that Oceanborn is known for its 3-base all-ins from the side of Zerg. I'm referring to German taxis, I'm referring to just Roach Queen walks across the map, even Nidus-based all-ins. We've seen a lot of 3-base aggression from Zerg on Oceanborn. So I wouldn't put that past Shin. We'll keep an eye on his worker count, we'll keep an eye on his tech. We'll keep an eye on Shin. Shin is making an extra wave of Lings. Behind this, a shout out to MW1832 for the gifted sub to Thorn. Gah, Pappy, gah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the support. And shout out to Thorn as well for getting the gifted sub. Oh, now you can have noodles. Now you can eat ramen. Ah, it's beautiful. Because that surge of Lings, the goal here for Shin is to deny the third. The Lings have arrived, but the Oracle is back home. And the Oracle will defend. If Ordinary had moved out with the first Oracle, then he would have been in trouble. But Ordinary keeps up, shuts down the Lings, and forces them back. Going for a Phoenix follow-up. Interesting. Now with this Phoenix, he can deny scouting. His goal here, shut down the Overlord. To hunt down the Overlord. and keep SHIN in the dark. But the expansion is almost done at this point. So I'm not feeling like a glaive follow-up or anything like that. Are we feeling a second Stargate? No shot. Maybe. It's possible. Meanwhile, Roach Warren was thrown down at the 4-minute 30 mark. This is an earlier Roach Warren timing than normal. So a little bit suspect here. Back at home for Janus Twilight counts like a standard follow-up from the Protoss, from Ordinary. But again, usually there's no reason to rush into a Roach Warren this early on against a Stargate, right? There's no Glaive Adepts, there's no aggression. It's possible that maybe SHIN is playing safe because of the Phoenix. True, he could just be playing a little bit safer here. A Phoenix opener can sometimes indicate Glaive Adepts. As Roach Warren is now done. Stage trap at the natural. SHIN does react in time, does pull away. They're almost complete, and interesting, I assumed there's going to be +1 in Blink, but no, +1 in Charge going to be on the way here for Ordinary. So it's going to be Charged or Archon instead, not Blink Stalkers. Queen's zoning away that Phoenix. Gases are being taken, 4th base as well, let's go. SHIN is building up. You can see Ordinary, he's looking for the tech. Basically, the lair is done, and there could be a hidden spire, there could be a Hydra Den. Ordinary is trying to figure out what exactly SHIN is working with. There could even be an Infestation Pit and Swarm Host. Speaking of, the pit is on the way. And SHIN has been enjoying Swarm Host play, depending on the map, usually on maps like Amphion. Maps like Amphion, sometimes Crimson Court. I do recall Dark going Swarm Host to Crimson Court. That is an option here, and the Archons are confirmed. Is he willing? Yeah, Nidus on the way. It's gonna be Swarm Host, right? Like, Swarm Host is ideal against specifically a less mobile composition like Charge or Archon, less so against Blink Stalkers. Yeah, no more roaches are being made as well. Show us the Swarm Host. Where are they? There they are. 6 Swarm Hosts on the way. Again, this does make the most sense against the army composition that Ordinary is going for. And it's on Ordinary to confirm. Checking the vision, Ordinary, I believe he did scout the Nidus Worm. He is aware. He didn't see the Swarm Host, and he didn't see the Infestation Pit, but the Nidus Worm is a tell.
The enemy has discovered us.
So he is aware that something is wrong, something is amiss. Rocks are being knocked down, 11 Swarm Hosts on the way. And there is vision on the left-hand side. They're going for the natural. Ordinary, I don't think he's fully aware of what's going on. He has a piece of the puzzle with the Nidus, but doesn't know everything. He's distracted by the Ling Roach. And there's nothing here. There's nothing at the natural. Nidus Worm does finish. Ordinary does catch a Queen and a couple of Roaches. But the Locust Wave is making his way towards the natural base. Could even go for the Robo. Can deny the Colossus. He's going for it. No. Robo goes down. Colossus is denied. And Ordinary has to push in. Now, the plus side here is that there's that much less to defend, but there's plenty of Roaches. Plenty of Roaches. The Lings are cleaned up by the Archons, but yeah, this army is just so bare bones, forcing a recall. 1 Archon goes down. A Sentry as well. And Ordinary's in trouble. He's in a lot of trouble right now. The first Locust Wave shut down the Robo. We have 2 more Robos on the way. That has stifled any kind of Immortal, Colossus, or any kind of Robo production. And here comes the next wave. And this time, we can go for the Nexus. The Nexus has still not recovered its shields. Still very low. Going for the Cyber Core even. Okay. I see you. I mean, go for... Why not? ¿Por qué no los dos? Why not both? Cyber Core and the Nexus. And Ordinary is getting pulled apart. Meanwhile, SHIN is maxed out. Now, we have seen Ordinary recover before, that is true, but turtling up, it's not the best answer against Swarm Host play. Not when you already have momentum. Yeah, Archons are going down one after the other. Overcharge gets swapped, barely out of range. Saves 1 Archon, but not the other 3. Not like this. As SHIN starts stepping back. Stormhosts are ready. Ordinary trying to hold on. SHIN transitioning out of this. Hive is on the way. Lurker Den as well. Getting ready for Hydra Lurker Viper. Now both rovers are back up and running. We have some Colossus, true. But I think SHIN wants them. He wants the puppy. He gets one. Oh. One Colossus goes down. Nice pick up here by SHIN. And if Ordinary can, you know, turtle up and defend and build up an army, then sure, he can, you know, have a chance in this game. But for the time being, SHIN, he's in the driver's seat and he's just knocking down more and more, getting more value, gaining more value. Natural base still not up and running. Colossus moving out. Oh no. And SHIN comes in for the surround. No, he's going for the Colossus. He's gonna get one. He's going for both. He's going for two. And he will get them. Yeah, Ordinary gets caught out, gets surrounded. Both Colossus fall. Now there's just no splash damage here for Ordinary. Down to one. Ordinary is gaining ground, but remember, the Stormhosts are available to defend, if need be. Astro does finish. We do need those Stormhosts back at home. Hydras are popping out. There's only one Colossus. Hydras are quite fragile. But that's a lot of Hydras. Oh, God. That's a lot of Hydras, papi. Locust comes in. And Ordinary cannot push in. Not into this kind of army. Yeah, SHIN with the flank. Shuts down the Colossus. And can just keep pushing. Like at this point, I don't think SHIN even needs Vipers. Like Vipers would be ideal to yoink the Colossus to allow for the Hydras to actually gain value. But just because of how heavily ahead SHIN is in supply, he can just kind of brute force his way in. It's not the most efficient, and there are 3 Colossus, so SHIN has to be careful. It's not going to be the most efficient trade. They could afford it. Locust Wave here on the right-hand side. There's a lot of stack defense. Roaches get peeled off into the mineral line. Probes are going down. Oof. Very nice economic damage. 19 probe kills. At the same time, Ordinary getting across the map. Going for a big cell at warp in. But SHIN, he has made it back home in time. Does race back. Shouldn't lose too much. The Prism... Oh, even the Prism goes down as well. And here come the Vipers. This is what we spoke about. This is the nail in the coffin. How do you shut down this kind of army with abductions, man? With those Vipers. Roaches, they poke in across the map. I mean, Ordinary has built up a pretty solid army, don't get me wrong. But I would say that this time SHIN has been able to refine his army, right? Hydra Lurker Viper, this is the ideal. Even with Mass Colossus, it's not that simple. Even with both players with similar army supplies, this is where we would have needed a High Templar for feedbacks, for example. Viper's coming in, we yoink one. Oh, Colossus does get away, but it gets shut down. Gets 2 Colossus, Novas go up. Big Novas though. Very nice connections. Novas do connect. Local save coming in. Ordinary down to 2 Colossus. The expansion is going to fall. Ordinary rotating around, going for the Nidus. Catching some free Hydras. Not bad. Does want those lurkers. Gets 1. Meanwhile, the Vipers, they did race back home to regather energy. There's 2 Vipers left. Gathering energy as we speak. And SHIN, that's all he needed to do. Just deny the expansion. Deny the 5th base. But Ordinary can max out. Speaking of High Templar, here comes the storm. High Templar are on the way. Feedbacks are going to be available. And now we have a kind of a dance between the spellcasters. If Ordinary can feedback the Vipers before they abduct, then, I mean, Ordinary can take a fight. It's all about map awareness and army positioning. Main army is spotted. Interesting that the Stormhosts are moving out with the main army as well. Here comes the Locust Wave. And zoning away Ordinary. 5th base is going to go down for a second time. Yeah, the expansion is going to be denied. Oh, do we cancel? Up! Oh, that's a kill. That's a kill, not a cancel for Ordinary. Does cast some Stormhosts, but at this point I feel like Shin wants to get rid of them. They've served their purpose. So the counterattack across the map. Ordinary moving out. Ooh, Lurkers are in position. Massive spine shots going off. Revelation. First one misses. Second one does connect. Vipers getting ready. I just swim across the map. Again, Shin has a massive bank, and Ordinary wants an expansion. He just wants a 5th base. And Shin is ready in both locations. Making sure there is no expansion. Which basically means Ordinary's all in. Ordinary is pretty all in with this army. If he loses it, there's no replacing it. Especially now with this Locust Wave hitting the gases. Big Revelation. That's 8 Lurkers on the way. Ooh. Nice feedbacks. Catches with Vipers. Oh, Vipers are caught out. Ooh. That's still a lot of Lurkers though. Without disruptors, we cannot quite break this position. We're being forced back. Decent storm. But again, 0 Vipers. I mean, there's 1 gathering energy. 3 more Vipers on the way. I mean, Shin, he knows that's the unit he desperately needs. Vipers in production. Ordinary can still win this game. Rotating around. Lurkers are keeping up. Oh! Nevs go up. 2 Lurkers full. Not bad. More brutal position. Nova once again does connect. 1 disruptor falls. Down to how many? Down to 3 disruptors. Catching another lurker. It's going to be 10 lurkers versus 3 disruptors. The Vipers are out. The Vipers are gathering energy in the main. And are there any High Templar? There are 4. High Templar have amassed. The Vipers are coming in. No feedbacks. Oh, it's an Archon. Feedbacks now come in, but the last one Colossus gets yoinked. Colossus does fall. Is that enough? And High Templar getting low. 2 more High Templar go down. There's 1 High Templar left. And Shin's done it. Shin, he has held. He traded well enough. Cleaned up the High Templar, the disruptors, almost everything. Locust Wave across the map. The base has fallen. That's a kill, not a cancel. Whew. And Shin from here can just remax. Can remax and rebuild. Viper's gathering up energy, and Ordinary, unfortunately, he's out of steam. Ordinary's out of steam at this point. Out of gas. Like, that push, that was it. Then and there for Ordinary. And was trading well. If Ordinary had an economy, then we could have seen a longer back and forth. I mean, nice drop here across the map. Ordinary doing the most with so little. He knows, man. He knows he still had a chance. Takes down the Ultra Cavern. Doesn't force a recall. Is saved. Oh god. As he does walk into lurker range. And he will clean up some of these lurkers, all of them even. One of the best trades. Yeah, the Stormhosts come into play once again, coming in from behind, going for the mineral line. And that's going to be all she wrote. GG gets called. Shin ties up the series 1-1. We are going to the ace match. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. Shin will take it, but a shout out to Ordinary because that was a really rough mid-game for Ordinary. Very rough mid-game where Ordinary, he was losing his 5th base over and over again. He was losing his production, his robos, he was being torn apart. Despite that, Ordinary did stabilize. In a way, Ordinary, he was able to eventually establish his 4th and eventually max out. And he had a comparable army. He could definitely threaten Shin. Ordinary by no means was out of it there, but alas, did run out of steam, of course. As you mentioned before, had no economy to sustain those losses and eventually was overwhelmed. Eventually. Wasn't easy though. And with that, we're going to the ace match. We are going to game 3. And we'll see how this story ends. Until then though, un momento. And here we go, we're jumping into the ace match. I do apologize, did have to do something for a moment. This morning, in the bottom right hand corner of side Delta, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg representing Gaimin Gladiators. It is Shin. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the returning Protoss. He is Ordinary. Anything but happy, anything but Ordinary. Let's go. Hello, drone. As how are we gonna end this series here? As Shin, he moves out across the map with a cheeky worker, and I imagine is going for a hatch block across the map. Going for the natural. There is that hatch block. So with this, he will disrupt and delay the economy of his opponents. This shouldn't be an all-in. Back at home, Shin is droning. Shin is going for his expansion. Shin is going for a longer, later game, but is going to be, forcing some inefficient mining. Does force the boys to be pulled. So a nice little start here for Shin. Likewise, across the map, though, the probe is still being quite active, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to throw it in a pylon to make sure that Shin can't expand. Was he's going for a gas pool follow-up? Okay. Back at home, the Zealots being forced out. That's going to be 5 workers off the mineral line here for Ordinary, plus a scouting worker as well. Again, Ordinary, his goal here is to delay. There's that pylon. Now we can back off. So a nice bit of counter damage here by Ordinary, forcing the unnatural natural. But again, back at home, his own tech and his own expansion, it's all going to be a little bit later. So there's a cancellation on the expansion. Now, of course, oh, Shin even trying to go for the gas steal. Gas steal is denied. Gas steal is going to be denied. And with that, should be able to calm things down and recover. Behind the Shin is double expanding. Makes sense just because of his delayed expansion here. Is taking 2 bases at once, rushing into Ling speed, and pulling out of gas. This tells us that Shin is not rushing into a Bailey nest, no fast lair, no fast roaches, just Ling speed and drones. I mean, technically it could lead into a Ling flood. True, could. Depth steps in. Of course, Ordinary has to confirm. Does have to confirm what's going on. That's still more Lings on the way. Shin is Ling flooding. Shin has not droned. He only has 20 workers. Queens are moving out. Lings are moving out as well. Ordinary does spot a transfer. Okay. Now Shin is droning up. But that's still a lot of Lings, Pappy. That's a lot of Lings. Getting up to 18 Lings at this point. Ling speed about to kick in. Ordinary does get into the mineral line. Just gets one drone. Gets two. Uh-oh. Gets three. Three drones go down. Nice trade here for Ordinary. And he's getting another? Getting 4 drones. Oof. Yeah, 4 workers for 2 adepts. That is a better trade for Ordinary. Especially considering how many Lings were made. Like, this was an overproduction of Lings. And for them to not keep the mineral line safe, that is a big blow here to Shin. Back at home, Ordinary walling up on 2 bases, throwing down extra gateways. His tech of choice, Twilight Council. This could be a Glaive Adept build. Would make sense. Considering the lack of tech, the lack of gas, Glaive Adepts could just overwhelm Shin. We'll see whether or not it is. Shin trying to dive in, gets us around. Takes down 1 Zealot. There's a force field. Up! Up! He wants the Stalker. There's a force field. Whew. Ordinary will hold. Does force field in time. Roach Ward now gets placed. And what is it going to be? Do we go for Blink, for Charge, or for Glaze? And we have the answer. It's going to be Charge. Okay. Charge on the way here for Ordinary, working towards Archon production as well. I'm curious if he throws down extra gateways. For now, it's only 4. Only 4 gateways. If he throws down a 5th and 6th gateway, it would be indicative of a 2-base all-in. Otherwise, we could still expand behind this. Regardless, it is a very late 3rd base for the Protoss. Very late. And Shin is aware of that. Shin behind this, getting up to 2-base saturation. Roach Warren is now done. Roach is already on the way. And with that War Prism on the horizon here, it looks like it is going to be a 2-base all. Oh, never mind. We are getting ready for a 3rd. Okay. Prism will be harassing and can harass with Archons. But it looks like we do want to expand. Meanwhile, Shin is in position to deny. Wings. Oh. Thread and a dive. Ordinary does overextend for a moment here. Does pull away in time. And Shin is making more Lings. And Ravage. Oh, he's going all in. That's the thing with Shin, Pappy. You don't know. Is he going to drone or not? Nah, never, Pappy, never. So Shin is not droning. He's making more Lings, making more Ravagers. Shin, his goal here is not just to knock down the 3rd, but to break his opponent entirely. To break into the natural and end the game. Ravagers are waddling across the map. Lings have arrived. And the Archons are not at home to defend. They're across the map instead, trying to catch reinforcements. But they need it at home. And he's knocking down the front door. Up the wall. The wall's wide open. The Stalker goes down. Lings, they flood into the natural. There is a force field available. Ravager gets caught. Meanwhile, Archons across the map getting a lot of drones. Drones are falling. For the Lings, they catch an Immortal. Immortal gets surrounded. The main army gets surrounded as well, and this could just be it. Lings, they flood into the main. Probes are falling left and right. Again, the Archons, we needed them back at home. Not like this. Prism did race back. And these Archons will clean everything up. And Ordinary's holding. Now what's important here, he may have lost 10 workers, may have lost an Immortal, but he does survive. And he's on 3 bases. He's on 3 bases, he has a comparable worker count to Shin. That wasn't too bad. Whew. Okay, that wasn't too bad. I was concerned that even more probes would fall, but it was only 10 workers. Only 10. And again, as soon as the Archons arrived back at home, it was an easy hold for Ordinary. Well, once they got home. Things are coming in once again. Up the Zealot! That's not a full wall! Zealot goes down. Another Archon arrives. Lings have to back off. And Shin is now forced to drone. And we're in a similar position to game 1. If you were here for it, you would remember where Shin, he was eventually outscaled. It took him a little bit too long to drone up, and he was punished for it. Similarly here, where Shin is only just now droning. And I would actually favor the Protoss' position here. So they're saturating the 3rd, building up Archons. Disruptor has arrived. I still feel like it's risky to go Disruptor first, but okay. Especially against a Ling-based army. It's very risky. Ordinary is pulling it off. does keep up. Move to the Archon drop. Ooh, and SHIN is going for the Spire. Okay. Spire is on the way. And if this goes unscouted, I mean, SHIN can pop off. Bearing in mind, there's no blink. There's no blink, there's no Stargate, there's no potential for Phoenixes. The only thing that shoots up is Archons. Archons and Sentries. Ordinary is not ready for Muta play. Go for multi-pro aggression. Gets eyes on the 5th. Won't trade too poorly against the Roaches. Trades well against the Lings as well, but again, he doesn't get into the main. He does not scout the tech. Spire is done. And is this how the story ends? Is this how the series ends? With Mutas? It could. When the Mutas arrive, it could force an all-in. Again, the Mutas, I don't think they can really fight the Archons head-on, so it's possible that Ordinary may just send everything across the map and trigger a pseudo-base trade. As that is going to be 5 Archons. So SHIN has to make a choice. Does he try to engage with the main army, or does he avoid it and go across the map instead? Because here comes Ordinary. And SHIN can't fight this. Uh-oh. Mutas have arrived. Oh no! They're running into the Archons! They run into the Archons, one Muta goes down. And SHIN, he's going across the map. He avoids the main army, he's going across the map instead. We're going for the base trade! Let's go! SHIN does pull back with the Ling Roach, only moving out the Mutas. Base is gonna go down. Send it, Pappy, keep going. Mutas hit the 3rd. And there we go, now SHIN, he commits. Now he realizes just how robust this army is. And he's going for the base trade, but this is gonna be a delayed base trade for SHIN. Ordinary moves out. More Mutas have arrived. Oh, the Mutas get caught though. 3 Mutas do fall. There are some defensive Archons. They trade well. They're gonna be knocked down. But they take down the lot of Lings with them. And cannons are finishing up, trying to buy time, trying to trade as best as possible. SHIN goes for the ninja bases. Hatcheries thrown down all across the map. Oof. And the entire middle line gets caught out as well. No, the stray Archon. Oof. And that's how SHIN can engage the main army if Ordinary throws away Archon after Archon like that. And side defense being cleaned up. Ordinary pushing into the main. Bearing in mind, Ordinary does have a recall. He can recall back home. As he will shut down the natural. Does he though? I think he will, otherwise he would have sent an army into the main as well. Oh, never mind. Slowly pushing towards that main base of SHIN. Meanwhile, all the gateways are being depowered. There is 1 Archon and a handful of soldiers to defend the main. Not like this. 5th base goes down. Soon, there we go. There's the recall towards the main base. No shield batteries. Ordinary will hold. He did leave a couple of Zealots behind, going for the Spire. Natural base is saved. I can't say the same for the 3rd. The 3rd is going to fall. And SHIN does have ninja bases. And saying that, Zealots is still wreaking havoc. And we're in a very precarious position here. Okay, so SHIN doesn't have an economy. I mean, he has some mining, but like half a base mining. Doesn't really have much going on. Looking at the units tab, SHIN has 19 Mutas. 19 Mutas across the map. That's a lot of Mutas. One wrong step and he will lose everything. Archon's trying to keep up. Oh! Has to be careful. So, the reality here is that if the Protoss moves out, then the Mutas will kill everything. Right? Like, if the main army moves out across the map, then the Mutas, they can pick away at the production and pick away at the economy. So Ordinary is stuck at home. So because of this, SHIN is redroning. He's saturating his droning up as best he can, trying to get his economy back up and running. Ordinary is trapped. SHIN playing with fire. Oh, Archon's in position. Big shots going off. We had 19, now down to 17. 17 Mutas. Oh, and they are trapped. They have big volleys going off. There's going to be one more Muta going down to 16. And every Muta is quite valuable here to SHIN. Calm down, Shin. Calm down. The Archons are split. Oh, losing another muta down to 15. Behind this, Shin has saved his Roach Warren, so he can switch into Roach Ravager. If he gets his economy back up and running, he's back up to 20 workers. His drone count, not looking too bad. Again, the mutas are keeping the Protoss pinned. For now, and Shin, he has to get his economy back up and running. Get into Roach production while he can, because eventually Ordinary will break out. Eventually he will, break free from his contain. And he does have a terrifying army. In a head-to-head fight, I would favor Ordinary. The Prism goes down. Losing one muta, down to 14, I believe. Yeah, 14 mutas left. That was a good pick-off, though. Catching the War Prism. Most of the tech was saved for Ordinary. Bear that in mind. He's building up Phoenixes. Fleet Beacon on the way. I don't know if the Fleet Beacon is the best choice here for Ordinary. I'm referring to the fact that Ordinary, he knows that he sniped the Spire, right? He knows that he sniped the Spire. There is no lair either. So the mutas aren't really the biggest threat. I mean, as I say that, though, Shin hasn't really built up his ground army either. So maybe they are. Yeah, Shin, he tops out! GG! He spots the Phoenixes. He wants none of it. And Ordinary will take the series 2-1. GG. Oh my god. Let's go. GG, well played. Congratulations to Ordinary. I mean, Shin was bleeding out a lot of mutas there, and he did need more time. Technically, I do think Shin could have tried to stay in there just to see if he could buy more time and build up an army. But with the arrival of those Phoenixes, you could definitely argue that once the Phoenix count got up to like 5 or 6, then Ordinary can move. Then he can push out across the map. Phoenixes can zone away the mutas, and then he can just snowball with that ground army. GG. GG, well played. Ordinary, he takes down Trap and Shin already. GG, well played. Very, very impressive results here out of Ordinary. Very well done. And Ordinary, he takes down some of the best Protoss and Zerg players that Korea has to offer. Who's next? A Terran. Of course it is. Of course it is. Exclamation mark. Be in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the back of yourselves. Let us switch on over and catch up on what's been going on.